أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We thank the Almighty Allah for giving us an opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today it's a Wednesday. We are still in Jumad al-Ula, the 13th day of Jumad al-Ula, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds with the 7th day of December 2022. Yesterday we were supposed to have a class with you, but one of the brothers here, the muaddin who calls for the Friday prayer, he lost his mother back home in Ghana. So we had to go, be with him and then, share some words of, consoling with him. So that is why you didn't see us yesterday. And I requested from Imam Noor to have today, because normally today is his day. We all know the importance of a mother in Islam. The position of the mother can never be underestimated. In the competition in quotes with the father, she takes the gold medal, she takes the silver medal, she takes the bronze medal, and the father is only consoled with a consolation prize. You know the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where a young man came and then he said, Ya Rasulullah, ayyun nasi ahaqqu bi husni sahabati? Who amongst people is, first placed in terms of my good manners and good relationship with the person? Who in the world deserves the best of relationship I can ever offer? He said, your mother. And then the young man asked, who next after her? He said, your mother. He asked again, who next after her? He said, your mother. 3 times. On the 4th time, that is when he said, your father. So the mother is placed on a very serious pedestal when it comes to Islam. Some of the scholars are saying that when you lose a mother, you are being told, the person who because of her we revere you and we give you whatever you receive, she's dead now. Now be a good person, and your good deed will replace that, that relationship or that good you receive from people. So it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes if something has not touched you, you won't really realize it or understand it. So that's number one. The last time we spoke about the hijab. And I just want us to reiterate some points that we spoke about the last time. It's a difference of opinion between scholars concerning the face of the woman, whether it is compulsory for her to cover her face or to not cover her face. But then they unanimously agree that covering her face is the best. And those who cover their faces, women, should not be seen as extremists. Should not be seen as people who are holding too much. No. Within Islam, that is her right. She can choose to cover her face. And those of us who do not cover their faces should also be seen as negligent people. No. There must always be a balance between how we perceive each other or see each other within the Islamic, parameters. The other point is that sometimes you hear people say, and most often than not, it comes from people who do not put on the full hijab. Most often than not, that's where it comes from. That you see those women in hijab, if you know what they do in secret, that's none of your business. Shaitan is whispering in your ears, trying to justify you not wearing the hijab for you. if she is in hijab and then she does some things in secret, that's between her and Almighty Allah. You are disobeying Allah publicly. Not wearing the hijab and going out, and then you want to equate or equalize it by saying, oh no, we are not in hijab, but who knows those who are wearing hijab, what they do in secret. It is shaitan whispering in your ears, trying to justify for you not wearing the hijab. So it's very important we understand, or we are very careful with the kind of utterances we make vis-a-vis some of these issues. Today's lesson is a very sensitive one, and I pray you forgive me on some of the things that I might say that might not sound, well. Part of the topics you sent to us for discussion, almost all of them are women related, and they are very sensitive. Today we are going to look at the menstrual cycle, and it's a very sensitive topic, especially if it is a man who is treating it with a woman. It's very sensitive, so please pardon me if you hear me use some words that might not sit down well with you. I'll try my best not to, inshallah, khairan. There is the hadith of Anas bin Malik radiyallahu anhu, where he said that the Jews in Medina, when their women menstruate, they don't even eat with them on the same bowl. They don't drink with them in the same cup. They don't even keep them in the house. So the moment a woman starts seeing, a monthly visitor, she has to be sent outside the home. That is what the Jews in Medina used to do. So the Sahaba asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, why is this so? And what is Islam's position on that? And Almighty Allah revealed the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ قُلْ هُوَ أَذَى فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ فِي الْمَحِيضِ وَلَا تَقْرَبُوهُنَّ حَتَّى يَطْهُرْنَ فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَأْتُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ. The verse is, they are asking you concerning al-mahid. The word al-mahid here can have three different meanings, and all these meanings are applicable in the verse. The verse is in Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2, verse 222, I believe. Yes, Quran chapter 2, verse 222. The word al-mahid here in the Quran can have three meanings, and these three meanings are all applicable. The first meaning of the word there is the blood itself that flows. Alaikum salam.
Yes.
The second meaning of the word is the time frame that the blood flows with, whether it is 4 days or 5 days or 6 days. The word can mean that. Then the third meaning of the word is the place where the blood flows from. So the word mahid can have these three meanings, and all these three meanings are applicable in the verse. So they come and ask you about al-mahid. Kul huwa adha. That the blood itself is an impurity, it is impure, the blood itself. Not the woman who is menstruating. No. The Muslim woman who is menstruating, even at that time, she's not considered impure. No. Because the Prophet Muhammad says, Innal mu'mina la yanjisu abada. The believer is never impure. So, when a woman is menstruating, she's not impure. No. She's still pure. But just that this is just an exception in the normal day-to-day activities. فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ فِي الْمَحِيضِ. So you hear the word again the second time. That restrain from women when they are in that time. Here the scholars have had a lot of discussion concerning the mahid here. The mahid here is where the blood flows. don't go near where the blood flows. This is for a husband. If a woman is married and then she sees her monthly visitor, at that time the husband is not allowed to go near where the blood flows. There is a lot of hadith in explaining this. The hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha says that when one of us is in her monthly period, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will let her tie a wrapper around her waist. So whatever is from her waist downwards, he doesn't go there. Whatever is from her waist upwards, he has access to that. So this is the verse. And we'll speak more about it, but I just want us to go into details concerning these rulings that we have.
I enjoyed the class. I like it. Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, you can wait when we finish the class. You can ask your question.
Oh, okay. All right. I will wait patiently.
Thank you. So we are going to look at some things, and we are not going to finish all today, inshallah, because I want us to take it slowly at our own pace so that we really get, the information. We are going to look at the different types of blood that comes from the birth canal. We're going to look at the different types of blood and then the rulings in Islam. That's number one. We're also going to look at the signs that shows that the blood is over, and what next is something we're going to look at. The scholars have agreed that the woman naturally has three different flows. The first one is the menses itself. And this menses comes out not because she's sick. No. It is a natural way that the Almighty Allah has made the body to cleanse itself. So menstrual cycle is not a disease, it's not an illness, even from the medical point of view, and at the same time, even from the Islamic Sharia point of view. Secondly, we have Damul Istihada. Damul Istihada, I consulted some medical people, and they said it is called metrorrhagia in the English language. It's a metrorrhagia. They say it's a bleeding at regular intervals, particularly between expected menstrual cycles. It means you finish your menses and then there is a new flow. When your original time for the next menses has not yet come in. Maybe you flow for 5-6 days and then afterwards you see a new flow. They call it, metrorrhagia. And it's also considered al-istihada. And Sharia is saying that as for this one, it is not menses. It might be through some illness or some anomaly or some abnormality. And the third one is that damun nifas, which is postpartum bleeding. After a woman has given birth, she bleeds. So these are the three, types of flows that the Sharia considers for a woman. Now let's look at menses. The scholars have differed concerning the number of days a woman might menstruate. The least number and then the highest number. They've differed. Imam Malik radiallahu anhu or rahimahullah says that a woman's highest number of days that she can menstruate is 15 days. That a woman can see her flow for close to 15 days. Imam Abu Hanifa says a woman can see her menses for close to 10 days. That is the highest number. Imam Malik says 15 days. Imam Abu Hanifa says 10 days. But then, when it comes to the lowest number of days, Imam Shafi'i says a woman can see her menstrues between a day and a night, between 24 hours and it's over and it's over. There's nothing wrong with that. A woman can see it for 24 hours. Imam Abu Hanifa says the least number of days is 3 days. The reason why they disagreed is that you know better than me in this field that it differs from one woman to the other. That's why they disagreed. Because the Sharia didn't come with a canon that it's 4 days or it's 5 days or it's 7 days, and after those 7 days, no, the Sharia didn't come with something like that. So the scholars in their own ways, in their own investigations and in their own research, come out with some of these statements. Not because it is a scientific fact or you got it from the hadith or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, it's because it's different from one woman and then the other woman. Imam Malik has considered women to be 2 types in relation to menses. The first woman is mubtada'atun, the young lady who has never seen her menses before. So the first time she sees her menses, Imam Malik says she should observe it for the first 15 days. Because since she is new, she might have unstable, days of flow. And I believe you know this better than me. We are only saying it because we read it from books, but you have experienced it. So she is the one who is new in the field. The other woman, Imam Malik says, mu'tadatun, a woman who has, who is older. She knows her menses, she knows her days. She knows that her normal days are 5 days or 6 days or 7 days. She knows. And she knows how to take care of herself in that. So Imam Malik goes on further to say that the woman who is a beginner, who sees it for the first time, she just looks at it in the first 15 days. So if after 5 days it stopped, then that is her normal number. But in the second month, she might see it 6 days. In the third month, she might see it as it differs. So what she's going to do is that if it stops after a number of days and then it doesn't flow, then that is a number of days. But then if she sees it for 5 days, and on the 6th day she doesn't see blood, but then on the 7th day she sees it, she's going to add 3 more days to it. So for example, she sees it for 5 days. On the 6th day, it doesn't appear. On the 7th day, it appears. Then she's going to add the 8th day and then the 9th day to it. So that's 3 days. If after the 9th day it stops, then she baths and then she goes back to prayer. But if after the 9th day it doesn't stop, she adds another 3 days. Make it 10, 11, and 12. If it stops, then she baths and then she goes back to Salah. But if after the 12th day it doesn't stop, she adds 13, 14, and 15. After the 15th day, if it stops, she baths and then she goes back to Salah. But if after the 15th day it doesn't stop, she still baths and then goes back to Salah and then she seeks medical help. Because according to his madhab, a woman is not supposed to bleed for more than 15 days. She can't bleed half of her life. I hope you get it. In between this, because it's a very technical issue, in between the statement, if you have a question, you can answer. You can ask. But if the question is outside the topic, you wait after the class, you can ask the question. So, but whatever we're saying, if you get to a point whereby it's becoming a little bit challenging, you have questions you can ask. So that's the first point, where it's a young lady who has started her menses. So she sees for the first 5 days, alhamdulillah. It stops after 5 days, she baths and then she goes back to Salah. But if after the 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, she sees it again, then...
I'm sorry to interrupt. My question is in relationship to how a person should calculate the day. If, like, let's say Fajr comes in, she starts bleeding after Fajr, should she wait until Fajr 15 days from that? Like, exactly 24 hours? Or is it just, okay, this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yes, to explain better, if she sees it 5 days, it doesn't matter whether the blood starts flowing again, whether it is Fajr or Maghrib or Isha. It doesn't matter. At a point whereby she sees the next flow again, that is when she starts her calculation.
Okay.
That's when she starts her calculation. It's not about a 24-hour cycle. It's about the time that she sees it. For example, Imam Ibn Baz, may the Almighty Allah grant him Jannah, says that if a woman who is menstruating, Fajr now is now around 6:10, right? And then by 5 o'clock, 5:20, her flow stops. She no longer sees blood. Then she will make up for Maghrib and Isha of yesterday, because the time of Maghrib and Isha has not passed, so long as we've not yet prayed Fajr. I hope you understand that. So it means that it's not about a 24-hour cycle. It's always about the time that she sees the flow or the time that she doesn't see the flow. I hope you get it. Again, if a woman sees she's not menstruating, and then she sees the menses, she's menstruating, and then it's almost time for Maghrib, but the Maghrib is not yet in, and then she sees that she's clean now from her menses, she will make up Zuhur and Asr. That is after she has what? She has finished. I hope you get it. So, okay.
My question was, like, what you say, I always also make out those days that we miss, because when you explain,
for the number of days that you are menstruating, you don't make up the Salah, but then you make up the fast. So you repay the fast in Ramadan. But then for Salah, for the number of days that you are in your menses, Salah, you don't make up the Salah. The Almighty Allah has taken that for you. But for Ramadan, you make up Ramadan, because Salah is always there all the time. But the Ramadan comes once in a year. So my sister, your follow-up question.
No, you didn't get my question.
Okay. Her question is pending. That is why
Okay.
I have to go back to her. I hope I've answered your question. Barakallahu feekum.
In the situation of a person who is continue to bleed, do they check based on the salat? Like if they start their menses right before Maghrib,
No.
and then their menses goes for 15 days,
No.
and so now they have to take a ghusl. Do they check right before Maghrib, or just make a ghusl and then pray Asr?
Yes, I get your question. The 15 days is not just straight jacket 15 days.
Okay.
It's not straightforward 15 days. She only adds up 3. She adds up 3. She adds up 3. So for 5 days, if she sees it for the first 5 days, and then on the 6th day she doesn't see it, for the lady who is now new, she sees it for 5 days. On the 6th day she doesn't see it, but on the 7th day she sees it. Then she's going to add the 8th and then the 9th day to it. So after the 9th day, if she doesn't see it, she baths and then she goes back to Salah. But after the 9th day, if she sees it again, she's going to add the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. So it's going to be an addition of 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, until the 15th day. So sometimes she might not even reach the 15th day, depending on the flow or the otherwise of the flow. I hope you get it. So it's not a straight jacket 15 days. And the other thing is also that it's not a 24-hour cycle. It is when the blood stops.
And if the blood never stops, how should
If the blood never stops up to the 15th day, then she's going to bath, and then she's going to seek medical help and go back to her Salah. And the other ruling on that is al-istihada. We'll come to that. And I know this is one major thing that disturbs a lot of women, istihada. Some of the scholars are that she is going to bath for every Salah, or she's going to perform wudu for every Salah. We'll get there. We'll get there. I said we're going to take maybe a couple of weeks to treat this. It's very, very expansive. We are not going to rush through. We're not going to finish it today, inshallah. So my sister, you can come with your question now.
My question was, like, said, when, for example, a lady stop menstruating, like, it's not yet Isha, but
No.
she stop
No.
Maghrib.
Now,
She have to make up what prayer?
No.
I forgot.
when the menses stops before Maghrib, then she'll have to make up Zuhur and Asr.
Really?
Yes. Because the time for Zuhur and Asr is still in. It's not over. But then if she sees her flow after Maghrib, then the Zuhur and the Asr for that day is already over. So she is not obligated to make them up. You don't know. You now know. And the Almighty Allah doesn't hold us accountable for things that we don't know.
So what's the way it's time for Fajr and then you start?
When it's time for Fajr, and then you start. Fajr is not yet in, so you don't make it up. But then if it is time for Fajr, for example, with all due respect, excuse me, that you wake up and then the adhan of Fajr has already been called. And then you realize that your visitor has come. Now what is going to happen? You can't pray Fajr at that time because your visitor is in. But after you finish, you make up that Fajr because you don't know did the visitor come before Fajr, before the adhan of Fajr, or after the adhan of Fajr. You don't know. But if you're sure that the visitor came before the adhan of Fajr that day, then after you finish your menses, you're not going to make up for that first day of that Fajr. So the point here to note is, did it come before the prayer or after the prayer? So if it comes before that prayer, then it means that, for example, if it comes before Maghrib today, then it means that you are not obligated to pray Maghrib today. You are not obligated. And after you finish, or after the visitor leaves, you are not obliged to remake Maghrib of today. I hope you get it.
Yeah, I understand that part, but which one will be to hold Salat now? That they come before Maghrib?
Now let me make it easy.
Yeah, I'm so confused on that.
I know it's confusing. If you women are confused, how much more as men? Allah musta'an. The thing is this: you are in your monthly period
Now,
today, for example, and then before Maghrib you become clean. The first scenario.
now.
Before Maghrib, you become clean. You make up Zuhur and Asr. Because when the flow stopped, Zuhur and Asr are still in. They are not out. You understand? Zuhur and Asr are still in. They are not out. So you'll have to make up for Zuhur and Asr. That is number one. Number two, you are in your monthly period. No, you are not in the monthly period. And then right before Maghrib, your visitor comes. It's not yet time for Maghrib. You don't have to pray Maghrib after you finish your... You understand it? So the focal point is, did it come before the prayer or after the prayer? And you know the time frame for the prayer is very expansive.
Yes.
So did it come within the time prayer for Zuhur and Asr? I hope you get it. That's number one. Number two, it came between Zuhur and Asr.
Listen.
It came between Zuhur and Asr. And you have not prayed Zuhur for that day. For example, you are in one or two things, some reason, and then your visitor comes. You've not prayed Zuhur, but it came between Zuhur and Asr. You make up only Zuhur after, because the time for Asr is not yet in. I hope you get it.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Now,
But in case that you wasn't doing nothing, but you were just sitting, delaying the prayer time,
now,
and before you make up your mind, you're talking, and already, the visitor is already here, you know, if you pray,
now,
and I've been like a 15, 30 minutes on your phone, you should have prayed before it
No.
arrived. So is that punishable? Are you going to be punished for that?
yes, if you see, it is not advisable for you to delay Salah for anything. Wallahi, it's a very dangerous thing to do. You know why? If you go to the Qiyamah, and the day that you are going to meet Allah, you've missed some prayers without any justification. You've gone to the Akhirah with the wrong passport, a wrong visa, and a wrong plane ticket. So let's try as much as possible within, all this. You're taking care of your kids, because it's very tough to be a woman now. Because the world wants you to be a woman and a man at the same time. They want you to have the babies and pay for their tuition and take care of them at the same time. That's what the world is selling to the woman now. They want you to be an independent, strong, free woman And all those words are just garnishing for slavery. That's it. You leave home 5 a.m. You come back 10 p.m. You come back, you're supposed to cook, you're supposed to take care of the kids, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this. So it's very tough to be a woman now. Very, very difficult to be a woman now. That is why some women, at the end, they say they are men, so they want to change and become men. May Almighty Allah safeguard us. So, as a side point, wallahi, whatever you're doing, and alhamdulillah, we now have, all these apps on our phones. When it's time for salah, the adhan is being called. And then for you women, it's not compulsory for you to come to the masjid to pray. It is us men that is compulsory for us to come to the masjid to come and pray. So the moment your azan clicks, you don't need for any imam to come and say, istawu, istawu. No. Wherever you are, at your workplace, in your office, in your home, whatever, you just pray. Just pray on time. And then that's it. Okay?
One more question.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, ask your question. I'm here for you.
Menstruate, and we used to get on Fajr doing our zikr. Can I do a zikr?
Yes, when you are, we'll come to that, but I'll answer that. When you are in that type of the month, there are things that you are not supposed to do, but then you can do your dhikr. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Inshallah, we'll come to that. So that's why I brought the book today. Now, when we come to postpartum bleeding, that is when a woman, gives birth, and how long or how short should the blood be? Imam Malik says there is no least number of days. He has not specified that after a woman gives birth, she must bleed the bleeding should take this less number of days. He doesn't have that. Same as Imam Shafi'i. Imam Abu Hanifa says 25 days. But then his student Abu Yusuf says 10 days. Hassan al-Basri says 20 days. The reason being, it differs from one woman to the other. So, if one woman has hers for 20 days, and you have yours for 30 days, someone has hers for 10 days, and if the doctors, check and they say it is normal, it is normal. Because there's nothing in the Sharia that stipulates that it should be this day, and that is why they differ. But then for the longest time, that is the highest number of days, Imam Malik says 60 days. But afterwards, Imam Malik says that it depends on the woman again. It depends on the woman again. The next point is, does a pregnant woman menstruate? The scholars have divided opinion. Imam Malik and Imam Shafi says yes, a pregnant woman can menstruate. But Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmad, and Imam Thawri says the woman cannot menstruate. A pregnant woman cannot menstruate, and I believe this is what modern day science has proven, that a pregnant woman doesn't menstruate if she can see spotting, and if there's any blood when it is confirmed that she's menstruating, she should seek medical help. So these rulings on menstruation does not apply to the pregnant woman, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmad, and Imam Thawri. It doesn't apply to them, because for them, a pregnant woman does not menstruate, because the reason why she's pregnant is because those eggs have been fertilized, and there's no new egg in there for it to come out as menstrual blood. The next point is, what about if a woman sees some brownish or yellowish thing? Is it considered as menses or not? There is two hadith to help us in discussing this point. The first hadith is the hadith of Atiyya, where Atiyya says that قُلْنَا لَا نَعُدُّ الصُّفْرَةَ وَلَا الْقُدْرَةَ بَعْدَ الْغُسْلِ شَيْئًا. That the brownish and then the yellowish thing is not menses. The other hadith is the hadith of Aisha, where the female companions will send to Aisha whatever they use, in safeguarding themselves during their visitor, so that whatever they see, whatever changes they see, they send it to Aisha that, Aisha, this is what I've seen. What do you consider this? Is it still menses or is it still not? Because they want to know, it's their religion, it's their deen. They want to know so that, are they praying or are they not praying? It's very important for them. So Aisha will tell them that, no, do not be in a haste until you see a whitish fluid. That is what shows that you finish your menses. Now, how do we bring these two hadiths together? The scholars, some of them are saying that when you see those yellowish or brownish, thing in the days of menses, is it menses or not? If you see it outside the days of menses, is it menses or not? I hope you understand the question. The question is this: you are not in your menses, and then you see the brownish or yellowish discharge. Is it menses?
No.
Is a question I'm going to answer now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
No, go on.
I thought you were asking us.
No. And then the other question is, when you see those brownish or yellowish discharge during menses, is it a sign that the menses is over, or it is in the continuation of the menses? I hope you understand. So these are all rhetorical questions that we are going to answer. The answer is, if you see the brownish or yellowish discharge after you finish your menses, obviously it's not menses. That's number one. Number two, if you see the brownish or yellowish discharge during menses, is it a sign that the menses is over or it is still menses? They say it's still menses. I should come again. The brownish or yellowish discharge. If you see it during the days of your visitor, it is still part of the visiting team. I hope you get it. But if you see it outside the visiting days, it is not a visitor. I hope you get it. Now, the next point is, what is the sign that it's over? What is the sign that the visitors are gone? The first one is if you feel a dryness. It means there's no longer a flow. That's over. The other one is if you see a whitish discharge, meaning it is changed from the original color that we know, the dark red and brown and stuff like that, to a whitish discharge. Then it means that, it is over. Now let's go to what a woman in her visiting period can do or not do. The first one is she cannot pray. No salah. She doesn't have to pray. And if she prays, she has gone against the ruling of the Almighty Allah. So it is not a sign of iman that I'm in my menses, but I want to pray. It's not a sign of iman. It's a sign of disobedience. Now, yes, you forgot him. The Almighty Allah doesn't hold us accountable for the things that we forget, or the things that we don't know, or the things that we were forced to do under duress. The Almighty Allah doesn't hold us accountable. So this one you forgot him. That is why. So as we said earlier on concerning the salah, so if she says it before Maghrib, then she doesn't have to pray Maghrib. If she sees the menses before Maghrib comes in, she's not going to pray Maghrib. Yes, that's what we're saying. If she sees it before Maghrib, she's not going to pray Maghrib. Okay? If she sees it, if she is in her menses, and then we say she sees the dryness or she sees the whitish discharge before Maghrib, she's going to make up Zuhr and Asr. She's going to make up Zuhr and Asr. Okay? If she sees it before Fajr, she's not going to pray Fajr, but she's going to make up Maghrib and Isha of the previous night. So for example, if a woman is in her period now, And then around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., her visitor, leaves. She's going to make up Maghrib and Isha of this evening. But she's not, and she's going to pray Fajr, obviously, because she's clean. Okay? The second one is, it prevents her from fasting in the month of Ramadan or any other fast. So fasting of Mondays and Thursdays, you're not obligated. Fasting of Ashura and Tasu'a, you're not obligated. Fasting of Ayyam al-Bid, 13th, 14th, and 15th of every, Islamic month, you're not obligated. Fasting of the Yom of Arafah, you're not obligated. And then you make up those fasts. That is, you make up the compulsory fast, that is Ramadan. When we go back to the first point, that is with Salah, you don't make up the mid-Salah. So for 4 days, you are with your visitor. After the visitor has left, you don't say that, okay, come and make up Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, Isha of all those 4 days. No. You're not obligated, you're not obliged to do that. Even if you make them up, they are still not those Farilla Salah. They tend up to be Nafila for you. Because the Almighty Allah has already uplifted that for you. He doesn't require it from you for you to make it up. He doesn't need you to do that. And then take Almighty Allah's gift. It is a gift for Him. The third point is that she doesn't perform tawaf. That is when she goes for Hajj, she doesn't perform tawaf. So these are the three main things. And for the fourth point, which is she doesn't have intimate activities with her husband, it is a broad something that we'll discuss next week, inshallah. Because these are rulings that pertains to both men and women, and it is something that we need to know. As we said earlier on, the Jews in Medina, when their women are in their monthly period, they don't eat from them. The woman is even driven out of their house because whatever she touches is unclean. When you go to Leviticus chapter 15 verse 19, it says, when a woman has a regular flow of blood, the impurity of her monthly period will last 7 days, and anyone who touches her will be unclean till evening. Anything she lies on during her period will be unclean, and anything she sits on will be unclean. Anyone who touches her bed will be unclean. They must wash their clothes and bath with water, and they will be unclean until the evening. Anyone who touches anything she sits on will be unclean. They must wash their clothes and bath with water, and they will be unclean till evening. Whether it is the bed or anything she was sitting on, when anyone touches it. So this is what's in Leviticus, in the Old Testament. So for the Jews, no going near the woman at all. She's taken out of the home. But for the Christians, it's field day. They can do whatever they want to do. So Islam came as an in-between. That when a woman is in her menses, you eat her food, you lie down with her on the same bed, you play your games with her, you have everything to do with her, but then you don't go near where the blood flows from. That's the only thing. We're going to speak about that. Because sometimes some Muslim men do not do, and then, oh, it is my wife, it is my halal. Yes, we know she's your wife, it is your halal, but then even the halal has restrictions. Now the question is, can she enter the masjid? It's a difference of opinion between scholars whether she can enter the masjid or not. But then the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, when they got to Hajj, and then she saw her menses and she was crying. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked her, "What's going on, Aisha? Why are you crying?" She said, "I've just seen my visitor, it is Hajj." He said, "No salah, no fasting, no tawaf." But he didn't tell her, "Don't enter the masjid." He didn't tell her, "Don't enter the masjid." So the majority of the Jews are of the opinion that she can come to the masjid for a lecture like this. Come to the masjid. Or there's an activity going in the masjid, she can come to the masjid. If it is time for salah and the sisters are praying, she just excuses them. So that she doesn't sit and then she's praying and someone enters and says, "You see her, people are praying, she's not praying." Sometimes some people can act like that. You look at her, people are praying, she's not praying. No, she just excuses herself and that's it. And that's the opinion I hold too. That she can come to the masjid for lectures like this. We won't tell her, "You stay outside." No. come to the masjid, enjoy the lecture. If it is time for salah, she leaves.
What's about teenagers that come to class Saturday and Sunday?
Come again?
The teenagers that come to class Saturday and Sunday, we have difficulty.
Yes. The teenagers that come to class Saturday and Sunday, since the masjid has become the classroom, it is now a classroom. She enters the classroom. I hope you get it.
Excuse me. But you know, for some teenagers, sometimes when they in their menstrual, sometimes it's to the extent that it mess with them. They are not able to control them to read the adult.
No.
So for me, I prefer to keep my room. Because if they come and sit in anything on the
No.
and the floor of the masjid,
No.
that's not going to be right. So
Yes.
for me, I keep them.
Okay, yes, sister, she's making a very nice opinion. Let's listen to her after that.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر
Allah Akbar.
لا إله إلا الله
Now the sister was making a point that since the masjid is the class and then the teenagers come into the masjid to learn, and if she's seeing her menses, she'd rather keep her home. I know that's a personal opinion, but I wouldn't let the girl stay home. She will lose a lot of lessons that is being taught. You know, they would have only Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday and Sunday is only 3 hours, 3 hours. Saturday is 3 hours, Sunday. It's just 6 hours in a week. So what I would advise is that you teach her how to take care of herself. You teach her. You from now onwards, the moment you start seeing some level of maturity from her, even if she has not started seeing her visitor, you teach her those things. Excuse me, they've changed it into something called SEX education at the schools, and they teach them all kinds of filthy things. So I believe that if you don't teach your kids values at home, they'll pick anything filthy outside. So on a more general note, you see, school is where you pick information. Education is done in the home. 1 + 1 = 2 is not education, it is information. So you educate your kids in the house. You teach them these things based on... They teach them all kinds of filthy ways and means. In the end, you are with your daughter in the house and then she brings you all kinds of things. Or your son in the house and then he brings him all kinds of things. So with the boys' class, I always tell them that be very, very careful of your relationship with young women and older women, with women in general. Protect yourself. Close your legs as young men, I tell them. Because if you don't do that, and then you go in for a 5-minute pleasure, you're going to ruin your life for the next 25 years. So we need to let our kids understand that the fact that you live in a free world doesn't mean you are free to do whatever you want to do. That freedom comes with consequences. So you need to hammer these things to the young ones that are coming up. Your daughters, your sons, sit them down and let them understand the realities of these things and the consequences it comes up with. Because if you don't do that because you are feeling shy as a mother, you will cry tomorrow. You will cry tomorrow. So sit them down from now and let them understand the consequences of being a young man and being a young woman. Sit your kids down. These things, my mother sat me down and then she told things to me plainly and clearly. That way your kid is well informed that according to Islam, these are the rulings. But then if you leave them out like that, they go out there, whether it's in the public schools or on the streets or on the internet, they read and see all kinds of things and they pick all kinds of things. So you're with your child in the home and then he has a different mindset totally from what you're doing. At the end of the day, who are you going to blame? You're going to blame yourself. So I believe that it's something that you need to sit the girls down and sit the boys down. Let them understand that there are acts that you commit. You're going to see the end results, whether you like it or not. And because, the world is teaching our kids something different, we're having a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. Single motherhood has become a problem for us. And the single parenting now is one of the major causes of crime in our cities. So, and what brings this is because we've not nurtured the kids to understand that until you're married and committed to your husband or to your wife, these things are not allowed for you to do. But because we live in a free world and then they are allowed, it becomes a problem. I think today or yesterday, the Indonesian parliament passed a bill that there is no sex before marriage. It's banned. The whole Western world is an uproar now. They banned it. The Indonesian parliament, they banned it. If you want to have any intimacy, it should be within marriage. And that's in the world, is people's rights are being trampled upon. Rights. No. We don't want those rights. Because those rights are the problems. Those are the rights that are causing the problems in the communities that we have. Where a young lady, she's a teenager, and then she is put in the family way. And then the boy is also 14 or 15. He's also a young, he doesn't know his left from his right. And then the girl is put in this way, she bears all the problems, she bears all the pain, all the brunt, all the challenges. So in the end, she grows up and then she's not interested in marriage because she's seen something like this, and then her whole psyche and her psychology is turned upside down. This is what the community is facing. And until we teach our kids the right way, we'll have problems. Let's not look at what other communities or cultures are doing. Let's look at what is within our Sharia, and that's the best. Any question? You have about 10 more minutes before Salah. Maybe a question within what we've discussed, or a question outside. Maybe you can tolerate a few.
I have a question.
Now.
When you come to the masjid,
Now.
you have to pray the 2 rakah, right?
No.
To salute the masjid.
No.
When you are coming, you hear people praying already.
No.
Then you come, you pray with them.
No.
After prayer, you have to pray the 2 rakah or?
That 2 rakat already is not compulsory, so you don't pay back.
Okay.
It's not compulsory for you to pay back.
Okay.
If you make it up, alhamdulillah, nurun ala nur, it's light upon light. But if you don't make it up, you're not sinful.
Yeah, because when you come, it's not prayer that
You do it,
But
yes.
when you come, you
It's
see
already
people
prayer,
pray
you join them in their prayers.
Oh, okay.
Yes, inshallah. Now.
Friday, for coming from Mondays.
Friday prayer, coming for Friday. Juma prayer.
Juma.
No, coming to the masjid for a woman actually is not compulsory. Juma is compulsory. Congregational prayer is compulsory upon the men, not you, the women.
No.
So when you come, it is just light upon light. It's just extra reward. But if you don't come, you are not held entitled on anything.
It's
You're
not
not.
like an obligation.
No, it's not an obligation upon you. It's not an obligation upon you.
I know you have obligation, but for women, if you want to come, you have to do the bathing, like doing the janaba before you come.
Yeah, the Friday ghusl is actually a light upon light. It is not compulsory that if you don't pray Friday, if you don't pray, ghusl on Friday, you don't have Juma. No. It's all part of the adab, the etiquettes on Friday that, yes, you take that spiritual bath and then you come to the masjid. It's part of the adab, but it's not that if you don't do it, you don't have Juma or your Juma is not going to be accepted. No. Is that it? No other question? Now.
So if a woman is in her general cycle, she'll become dry for a little bit and then continues to bleeding, would they wait for the white, or should they and how often should they check? Should they check before every salah? Should they use should they insert something in there
So that's istihada, what we talk about meteorrhagia, which is she bleeds and then it stops, she bleeds and then she stops, it bleeds and then she stops. If she's an experienced woman, which is a woman who already knows a number of days, then after those number of days, any flow she sees is not considered menses, it's called istihada. That's the meteorrhagia. And then she performs ablution for every salah. She checks for every salah she performs ablution. And inshallah we'll speak about that next week. We'll speak about that next week extensively, because I know it is something that bothers women a lot. Inshallah we'll speak about that next week. Okay, جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم. Kadi